Welcome to the CT Educator podcast. I am your host, Karina Hogan. I am a registered CT technologist with 20 years of experience and knowledge. I help new CT technologists level up their CT training so that you can become a successful technologist. I'm also a mom and committed to sharing my knowledge and expertise to help you build your confidence, know the CT basics so that you can deliver quality patient care. So let's get into it. Hello. Welcome back, technologists. Welcome back to the podcast. Happy Rad Tech Week. We are coming to the ending days of Rad Tech Week. I have to say it has been amazing to see just our community of radiology come together. And it's fucking amazing on just the stuff I've seen on social media for us being seen and all the contests and scavenger hunts and things like that. It's been freaking amazing. So if you haven't followed me on Instagram or seen any of the content that I've posted, I have discounted all my courses for this week. That discount ends tomorrow at 11 p.m. So that is Central Standard Time. So make sure you get in on all the action as far as those courses. They are discounted. So I have 2 coaching programs that I currently have, and I have a course that's kind of like a crash course that's $350 that you get access to when you purchase that course. So you get access to on-demand videos and PDF files, things like that. So 2 of the coaching programs that I do have. So my popular program, the CT Educator, is a 6-month coaching and mentorship program where you come inside with me into my community and I will coach and mentor you for 6 months to get you to speed and get your training tip top to be the go-to CT tech where you can walk into any facility and scan. So what does that entail? You get an entire course portal with different courses, how-to videos. You get 4 live trainings a month for 6 months where I will teach you a certain protocol or a new technique or some type of how-to video that you can apply to your training. You also get Slack coaching with me where it is a Slack community where you come in and you can ask your questions 24/7 on any CT protocols. If you need tech tips, any how-tos, you can come inside the Slack channel and get coached by me. Okay. So that is all the great things. Plus there will be additional trainings and things like that I will add as we go on. So for 6 months, it's $5,000. So $5,000. There are affordable payment plans that I do offer. I am taking 10 students. We start in December. So if this is something that you're interested in, there is a program application form to fill out. Everything is in the show notes. There's also the checkout page if you are interested in enrolling into my coaching and mentorship program. The second program that I offer is a 90-day program where you are new to CT, you are cross-training, you need to get tip-top so that you can operate on the shift on your own. So for 90 days, for 12 weeks, I will coach and mentor you. You will get an entire course portal with on-demand videos, how-to videos, PDF helpful guides, tech tips. You will get 1 live training a month for 3 months. So that's 3 live trainings. You would also get access to the Slack channel for this program. This is the CT Blueprint. For 90 days, you can come ask your questions and I will coach you throughout those 90 days. So price on that program is $1,500. There's also affordable payment plans for you to have access to this program. So if you're interested, there is a link in the show notes to go ahead and enroll in this program. This program is ongoing and the amount of students that I'm taking is unlimited. So you could go ahead and come in and get coached by me. And like I said, there's also a CT Basics and Concepts course that's $350. You get an on-demand course portal and how-to videos and PDF guides. So check out the show notes for all those good things. So on to today's episode. We are talking about multi-modality technologists. This episode comes from one of my listeners that sent me an email. It's also somebody I know personally, so thank you very much. And asked if I would create an episode on this topic. So we know COVID-19 has changed the way we staff our radiology departments as a whole. So, and the thing that we are experiencing right now is staffing challenges, increased patient care demands with high rates of exam ordering in the ERs, outpatient, you name it. So this continues to rise every single year at just a really super high rate. Okay. So the challenge has come in that we have all these open positions. We're having a very, very tough time trying to fill all these positions because we don't have enough staff trained, or, there are sign-on bonuses. There's this, there's that. There's all these incentives to travel and do all these things for technologists that have opened up. So what most facilities have done is they've experienced challenges with staffing their departments. So they've moved to more of having technologists that have two different modalities under their belt to cover a couple of departments. I know I have seen this in a couple of facilities that I've worked at, and I know we're kind of starting to see more and more of it, and I'm pretty sure in the future it's probably going to become the norm. So what does this look like? You could see CT/MR, X-ray/CT, CT/IR, IR/cath lab, or X-ray/mammo, which are very common examples of that. So these are some things that are seen where you have a technologist that has these two registries under their belt and they can cover both departments because of staffing. And some facilities have recruited technologists that have more than one modality to kind of adjust their staffing model so that they can cover both departments. So what I have seen is some departments have started recruiting technologists with like 3 modalities under their belt to cover 3 different areas, okay, to fill in the gaps of where these open positions are needed. Now, I know that this raises the question as far as compensation and pay and, how does this work? We're going to get to all that. But a lot of the criteria that is required for these positions, of course, you have to be a graduate of an ART, accredited program. Make sure that you are registry eligible and have these registries already under your belt. A lot of places require registries within a year of hire. And a lot of other facilities want technologists that have 3 to 5 years experience in these modalities, whether it's 2 or 3. Okay. So, and that they're registered in the modalities that they currently have a need for. So this poses the question, how does this work with current staffing models, the high patient care demand, and how does the pay come into play with all this? Now, I know at one facility I worked at in my home state, they had tried to recruit me to do a CT/IR because I did a lot of, CT procedures with the IR radiologist, and he was really interested in seeing me go ahead and move into IR, and then they can kind of eliminate having one CT technologist doing all these procedures when they can have me and I can just go back and forth, and it would alleviate some of the burden for, the rest of the department. Well, the issue of pay came in. And I've been a CT technologist for 21 years. Okay. And at that point, I had been a CT technologist for a long time at that, in that time. So I went to them and I said, okay, this is what IR technologists are getting paid. This is what I'm getting paid as a CT technologist. Now, I would like to combine those pays and have a pay scale because I'm doing 2 modalities and you're requiring me to get a registry in IR. And they came back to me and they said, no, we're just going to give you CT pay. And I said, well, no, then I'm not going to do that. Naturally, that IR radiologist was really mad. He was really pissed off. Well, the thing is that we have to look at it from a standpoint of we're required to pay for these registries ourselves. We are required to do all this education and training, for an additional, registry. So the compensation and pay has to match from what we are going ahead and investing into our education to learn another modality and cover both departments. Now, I know it comes down to, departments saving money, but that's great and all. However, you have to compensate your technologists as well, because you're requiring them to either take a course, go back to school, to, train and pay for another registry, because most facilities won't pay for another registry. So you have to compensate them appropriately. Okay. Now, I did a little bit of research as far as pay, scale, and compensation. And for these type of technologists, usually the low end of the spectrum as far as pay started out roughly at $22 an hour. The mid-range was somewhere from 31 to 42, and then the top earners went from $58 to $72 an hour. But this all depends on experience. It depends on the state that you live in, and it depends on the cost of living. Now, if you're working somewhere in California, of course, you're going to get more than that $72 an hour, probably in the $100 an hour pay scale, because the cost of living for California is extremely high. Same thing in New York State. You're going to see those higher pay scales. Okay. So if you're thinking about doing this type of position, these are some of the things that I think as radiology departments or you as a technologist should ask, when you're in the interview process, or if your facility is planning on changing their staffing model. These are a couple questions that you should ask them. The first thing you should ask them is there a workforce need or an educational gap when it comes to these open positions in other modalities? So if you're going to cover two modalities, is there a need for it? Like, are they able to handle that staffing model and able to cover the shifts and the hours allotted? Okay. The next question is the facility set up for this type of staffing model? Just like I said before, as far as hours, coverage, if somebody calls off, is things of that nature, because you have to make sure that this staffing model is going to work for your department. And most all, if it's going to work for you. Okay. And then the last question you should ask is, does the facility support the staffing model, financially and scheduling wise? Because it's really important, because if you're having a technologist do 2 to 3 modalities, you have to make sure that there's adequate coverage when it comes to your department, whether it's CTIR. You have to make sure that those departments, the schedule and financial support is there, plus the compensation is there, so that this can be executed properly. Now, honestly, the outlook on this, I think we're going to see more and more of it. I'm pretty sure, because I know even at the hospital I work at, we're having trouble not only hiring staff, but looking for staff. Like, we have so many open positions and we have FTEs that we need to fill that nobody's really applying. And that is one of the things that, has come up, and I've heard at other facilities where they want to try this model out. What I always suggest is, it should be like a pilot, because sometimes it may not work. So, but I think in the radiology future, we might see this a little bit more. So those are my thoughts as far as being a multimodality tech. So those are the things that you can take away from this episode on how to become one and how to be successful. Your skills and your training are super duper important when it comes to doing 2 or more modalities. You have to be the expert in your craft in making sure that you can cover several departments. So that is it for this episode for this week. This is the bonus episode for Radiologic Technologist Week. So hope you guys have a fabulous rest of your week and weekend, and I will go ahead and chat with you guys next week. Thank you for listening to this episode. If you would like to share your CT experience, have an interesting story to share, or need help in your CT training, please email me your questions at contact@thecteducator.com. Follow along on Instagram at the CT Educator, also on Facebook at the CT Educator. Don't forget to like, share, leave a 5-star review, as this will help support the show and it'll reach all of you that need guidance. Thank you for listening and happy scanning.